The actual beginning, though it's not really the beginning, but the actual flash point was, I remember very clearly. I can still see the corner in my house in 20 Northmore Road where it happened. I got an enormous pile of exam papers there, and marking school examinations in the summertime is an enormous, very laborious, and unfortunately also boring. And I remember picking up a paper, and actually if I nearly gave an extra mark for it, extra 5 marks actually. There was one page on this particular paper was left blank. Glorious. Nothing to read. So I scribbled on it, I can't think why. In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. I was, on the whole, a rather puny, over-mothered, timid little creature who was not much of a success. I eventually became a fairly ordinary scholar. Turned out to be good at rugby football, of all odd things. I first began seriously reading about when I was 13 or 14. I've never stopped, really. I raised my children, and read the 2 elder ones, who took kindly, and on the whole, terrible interest in it. I wanted to try my hand at writing a really stupendously long narrative and to see whether I had sufficient art, cunning or material to make a really long narrative which would hold the average reader right through. Too big a job for me, really. Because I don't believe that there is any recipe at any one time. The best, one of the best forms for a long narrative is, as was found in The Hobbit, there's a much more elaborate form of the pilgrimage on journey with an object. So that was inevitably the form I adopted. Very much, I find it very much easier to one in which, out of which to make a story. It was my primary concern, which I started out with. They criticised very severely, and first opened my eyes to the whole situation which led to my essay on fairy story. Criticised very severely all those things which, by owing to bad models, I thought was suitable to put into children's story. Many people apply to nuclear, to the ring, particularly the nuclear bomb, don't they? I think that was in my mind, the whole thing was only an allegory of it. But that is the thing which other people who have arrived, other views other people arrived at long before the H-bomb was invented. Could not really think why one wishes to create a thing like that. Also, I may say that I began building the stories in which the Dark Lord when I was an undergraduate. They were already in an advanced stage during the First War. The H-bomb hadn't been heard of. People do not fully understand the difference between an allegory and an application. You can go to a Shakespeare play and you can apply it to things in your mind, if you like, but they're not allegories. It is meant to be escapist, because I use escapism in its proper sense. It was a man getting out of prison. If you wish to push me back into what semi-theological or philosophical back, I think because being made by a creator, one of our natural faculties is wishing to create. But since we aren't creators, we have to sub-create. That's to say, we have to rearrange the primary material in some particular form which pleases, which may, it isn't necessarily a moral pleasing, it's partly the aesthetic pleasing. I'm a meticulous sort of bloke. I took 14 years, not for the general things it is now, but refining time schemes and getting everything right and so on. One reviewer once said, "This is a jolly jolly book, isn't it? All the right boys come home and they're happy and glad." It isn't true, of course. You can't have read the story. You're obliged, any author I imagine, is obliged to call on his private stock. And what he has is part of his mental makeup and reading, his memory. But he may not have the object of revealing that or lecturing to anybody else. If you really come down to any large story, it interests people, hold them attention for a considerable time, or make stories, practically always, a human story is practically always about one thing, aren't they? Death. Inevitably death. I don't know whether we agree with that, but anyway, that is what, there was a quotation from Simon Beauvoir that I read in the paper the other day, which seems to me, put it in a nutshell. I think I'll read it. There is no such thing as a natural death. Nothing that happens to man is ever natural, since his presence calls the whole world into question. All men must die, but for every man his death is an accident, and even if he knows it and consents to it, an unjustifiable violation. Well, you may agree with the words or not, but those are the key spring of the laws of the ring.